What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Michigan Great Outdoors. I'm your host, Jason Ostrowski, aka the Pollock, and today I have for you the Lone Wolf Custom Gear Patriot series. We have the Assault 3 and the Alpha 3. Two legendary names out there in the mobile hunting world, tree stand world, and we're going to do a deep dive today on the Assault mainly. We'll focus on this stand in another video, but let's get stuck in. All right, guys, well, here they are. We have the Lone Wolf Patriot series, the Assault 3 and the Alpha 3. Both stands are fairly light, being aluminum stands, so you can, use these for mobile hunting if you want. But really, this one's kind of geared more towards presets, and this is going to be your run and gun type stand. Before I get into the real specifications of the stand, I wanted to talk about the origins, at least my interpretation of why this stand exists. And really, it was from the consumers. People in the mobile hunting groups, they wanted to see another more affordable cast option tree stand on the market. Currently, there are several companies making cast aluminum tree stands. Some of the quality with some of those companies is absolutely terrible, and some are made overseas. The guys want an American-made cast aluminum stand. And the reason why that's important is, as we've seen through, irrefutable evidence over the years, that Chinese-made cast aluminum is horribly inconsistent, and it's just not of great quality. So this stand is 100% made in the US, $300. Now, it isn't at the highest level like the custom gear stands, like the 0.75 or the 1.0. That's that next step up. So for this being a more affordable option stand at $300, it's still packed with a lot of features. Guys have been messaging me, I'm interested in mobile hunting. Do you think this stand, this Assault 3, would be good for mobile hunting? Absolutely. I think that if I didn't have any other options, if this is the only thing I could afford, looking at the other options on the market right now, I would snag this. Now, it is heavier. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to attach your sticks. That's a little different, but there's still a lot of features in the stand that you're getting for $300 that are important. I think the biggest, most important thing is you're getting the Lone Wolf name. The Lone Wolf name is synonymous for, its reputation in the industry for strong, durable, lifelong stands. This is backed by a lifetime warranty, which I think is very important. You're going to get the frame lock seat lock feature. There are tabs here on the back of the seat that go into the platform. There's these notches that they put in the casting. So you're going to be able to use that seat shelf option, which guys absolutely love. They've also integrated the hook up here, which they have on the custom gear stand. So you're going to be able to hook your bag here. Whether or not your bag's big enough to meet that dimension, you can just take some paracord and make a little loop so you have something to hang it to. There are multiple lashing points in this platform. So if I spin this around and look at the platform here, there are multiple points here where you can attach your pack, your bags, your stand, and it's all in the cast aluminum, so there's no sharp edges, being that it is cast aluminum, whereas on some of the custom gear stands you do get those sharp edges. Everything is very smooth. It's been sanded apparently in the assembly process, and then they kind of coat it, I think, with a paint or something. There's a little bit of something on there to kind of take that sheen off of it. So the technical specs on this tree stand here, you have a platform size of 26 by 17, a seat size of 14 by 11. The stand weight is registered online at 10.5. I actually had it at 10.4, so a little bit less with the seat. If you put the cam strap on, you're looking at like 10.7 hunt ready. A weight rating of 300 pounds, which is pretty standard in the industry. The material is 100% aluminum, manufactured in the USA, and it has a lifetime warranty. It's actually a little bit hard to compare the dimensions from the original Assault to this Assault 3. It does look like it's a little bit shorter, but it's based off of how the teeth bite the tree. It is not as wide as the Assault 2, so it's definitely less width there, but honestly, I think that the Assault 2 was probably too wide in the first place. It was more like a 1.0 tree stand. I would compare the Assault 3 more closer to the 0.75 dimension, which is really what guys love to have. You know, that 17-inch wide is really helpful. I had no problems with my 11.5-inch boots spinning on the tree stand. I didn't have any hang-ups in the cables, which is really important to me because I like to get as close as possible to the tree and stand sideways. I will often set up in a manner where I can stand sideways and just lean into the tree. I find that very comfortable. Or I always have my saddle on when hunting so I can lean back if I want to take some extra, you know, pressure off of something. I can just kind of lean into my saddle for a while for some added comfort. So I do think this is a great hybrid stand option for those of you that don't want to spend, you know, the higher dollar amounts on the higher end machine stands. But this stand is actually coming in pretty feature rich for a pretty affordable price. Now you're going to get a seat pad. It's a decent sized seat pad. I do wish it was thicker. Honestly, it would be nice if they had a little bit more padding on there, but overall it's not so bad. There is an extremely large seat here. It looks exactly the same as the old Lone Wolf seats, so I'm guessing that this is basically the same design. Same leveling mechanism they've always had where you can level the seats. Now I would suggest that you do something so this screw doesn't fall out. That kind of has been an issue on some of the custom gear things. What I do is I just take a little grinder and I put a nick in the bottom thread here, and then it won't be able to thread out, because I have lost this bolt in the past in the woods. Looking at the post here, you have a cast aluminum post that's very robust. It's actually cleaned up very nicely. They have two Versa buttons, so you have an upper and a lower. I have never actually used the lower. I really don't see any point ever to use it in any application that I've ever hunted, especially hybrid hunting. I do a lot of hybrid hunting, and I have never found the need to push off of my tree stand to make a shot. The benefit of hybrid hunting is you just stand up and shoot. You can lean, you can rest, but then when that moment comes and you need to make that shot, you just stand up and shoot. I don't understand the concept of why guys think they need to push off. Now, having said that, I did try pushing off in this stand, and because of these teeth down here at the bottom, these teeth are very aggressive. They are almost sharp to the touch. I was surprised and very excited when I saw that, but this thing really grips the tree really phenomenally well. I was impressed with, when I did put my feet on the outer edges, how solid this was on the tree, on multiple trees. So when I test tree stands, I have a little bit of a kind of a procedure that I run them through. I have the red oak, I have the shit tree, I have several oak trees in my front yard, and then I like to get into that mulberry tree that's on an extreme angle, more of an angle than you'd probably ever hunt, and I want to see how these stands perform, how they react. Are they twisting? Are they moving? Is the post twisting? I didn't see any post twistage on this one. Now, I do tow hook my tree stands. I have never been told that you can tow hook this or you can't, so I am doing it at my own risk, but I do feel comfortable knowing that it is a Lone Wolf and that this thing is extremely solid. I am hovering right around 237 pounds now, so I am lower than I was in the past, but even still, there's a little bit of flex in the stand, just a hair, but comparing it to what a lot of other stands are out on the market, especially cast ones, this thing is pretty freaking solid. I do like to do a tow hook. I'm not doing the super aggressive tow hook, but I get a nice little tow hook in, which allows this thing to kind of sink down and bite into the tree really well. If you look at tow hooking performance or locking to the tree performance, I think that this stand does a really great job, and I think it has a partly to do with these teeth. Because they are so wide, you're actually going to get a little bit of a wider teeth set on this stand versus the Alpha 2. I do like that. I do see a little bit of a limitation, and I think it has something to do with maybe the geometry of how low these teeth are with the post compared to this antler bracket here, because I did struggle a little bit on smaller diameter trees. So if you have, say like a 6 or a 8 or 10 diameter tree, I did notice that this stand, it wants to, when you tow hook it, it really wants to sink down, maybe almost a little too far. And sometimes this, antler bracket here, this bat wing, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it was actually hitting the cam strap and it was hitting the buckle, which I don't really like. So I don't know what it is with the smaller size trees, if maybe the distance between the button and the here is different, or something with the angle here or the geometry, it's just not as great as I'd like it to be. On the Assault 2, it's actually pretty perfect. And the reason I bring that up is I often do a lot of swamp hunting, and you're getting in some very small, very tiny trees. I think this will still work, and I did still, you know, have no problem attaching it. It's just not as rock solid as the 2. Now on bigger, you know, more common sized tree, like a 12-inch diameter tree or bigger, this thing locks in extremely well, even with a tow hook. Sometimes on the hard bark, like oak trees, I have a red oak tree, the way these teeth are designed, I do think it doesn't slide down as good, because I think you're kind of fighting the teeth, and that's just because these teeth I think are so aggressive. Now if you look at the custom gear stands, they have like that double beveled edge, which helps it slide a little bit more. But again, that is more of like, you know, a premium feature. And to keep the price down on these stands, you can't load these things with every feature in the world, because then you start jacking up the price. It's just the name of the game. You know, this is an affordable tree stand because it's cast aluminum, the post is cast. There's only a couple items that they have to assemble, which also keeps the price down. You know, when you get into these machine stands with all these bells and whistles, different things that are on there, more assembly, your price is going to go up. So for a American made, you know, stand, I think 300 bucks is not a bad price at all for what you're getting. Now going forward, I am going to be making a couple other videos, and then I kind of want to do another look at maybe this, and maybe dive into the Assault 2 and kind of compare them a little bit more, and then even look at the Alpha. The Alpha is a great stand. I've put it on several trees. It works very similar. It's just a bigger footprint. I think this is more of the desirable option for many guys. I don't have the backpack straps on it currently. I just bought the Latitude ones, the new back straps. I'm waiting for those to come in. I want to put those on this stand with the waist belt. Those should be in a couple days, and I'll probably, when I do that video, I'll put it on this stand so you guys can see how it fits. But it does come with one cam strap. It comes with a backpack straps. They're the thin little cheap ones that you get. I think that it'd be nice if they sent the nice ones, but again, that price will start going up. So at least you have some backpack straps if you want to take this out in the woods and hang it as a preset. Overall, I'm extremely happy with this stand. I think they did a good job. And you know, I like aluminum tree stands when I deer hunt. You know, I used to use those metal stands. I used to buy, you know, Muzzy stands. I used to buy Remington made tree stands for a while, River's Edge. Any of those metal stands, they always creak. They always make noise at that moment of truth. The nice thing about aluminum tree stands, they don't ever creak. I haven't had any abnormal noises come from this stand. The only time I did hear a noise is when I was putting it on that really extreme angled tree. The first time I used this bottom channel, I noticed there was a little creak. It only happened once, and when I tried it again, it didn't make that noise. So I'm wondering if maybe there was like a burr in there or something, and when I actually tow hooked it and set it, it kind of just knocked that off. So you might want to go through, you know, before season and just try each one of these little locations and make sure you hang the stand there, just so you kind of work it out a little bit if there's any paint or anything in there. All right, so overall, I'm very happy with this tree stand right here. I really don't have a lot of major complaints. The only thing is on the performance on the small diameter tree, there's something goofy there, and I'm trying to figure it out. I might actually contact Lone Wolf and see what their input is. I do think that this stand has a little better performance on the small diameter trees, but again, this is an incredible stand. I'm happy to have it. I will be hunting off this tree stand this year. I will be putting the Latitude back straps on here, and I will give you guys an update video. At a later date, when I have more time, I'll probably do a more broad comparison between these two. You can still buy these out there on the Facebook Marketplace. I do suggest, if you do have a chance to get one of these for a good price, this is an incredible stand. And I think that so far, this is an incredible stand too. Time will tell. We got to get it out in the woods. I got to hunt with it, really put it through its paces. You can only do so much in a review video, but I do always like to put it in multiple trees and put it through a rigorous testing. And so far, so good. I have no major complaints. And I think if you are looking to mobile hunt and you need something that is affordable, made in the USA, with a reputation from Lone Wolf as being one of the best tree stand manufacturers out there, I think this is a good choice. So if you like videos like this, please consider subscribing. I always appreciate the thumbs up button, and we'll see you on the next video. I think you're gonna like it a lot. Peace.